Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Top Gaming. This is my first ever annual review going over every single game I played on Steam Deck from the previous year. For those of you who are new to the channel, my channel is a Steam Deck channel. Up until recently, everything I was playing was only on the Steam Deck. Nowadays, I flip between the Steam Deck and the Xbox Rogue Ally X, but of course, I make that distinction in my videos. And most of the games I play via the Xbox Rogue are games I simply cannot play on the Steam Deck, either due to compatibility issues or playing them via Game Pass. But for this year's video, everything I played this year was in fact via the Steam Deck only. And while I don't talk about it on my YouTube channel, the only reason my channel actually exists is because I started a Twitter account where I dedicated that to tracking my attempt to clear my backlog. So if you're interested in keeping up with me more on that and what I'm playing or what I'm doing, follow me on there as I keep more up to date with that over everything else and to keep up with the date with the channel. Anyways, back on topic, I in fact beat 53 games this year, meaning I played the game all the way through to the credits. Some are replays, some come with a minor asterisk, and some games just got left on the chopping block. For one reason or another, I just didn't complete them. I'm going to quickly go over every single game I played this year, and I ranked them from an S to F scale, S tier being the best games I played all year, A being great games, but hesitantly holding them back from S, B were good games, C were mid, and D were games I found to be outright bad, and F tiers for games I didn't finish. With all that being said, we're going to go over all the games real quick, rank them, and then I'll hand out some small awards before telling you my personal game of the year for 2025. Without all the way though, let's begin. Starting off in 2025, the first game I beat all year was Halo Reach. This game was actually really good in my opinion. I played small portions of it growing up and never actually played the campaign all the way through. And not only did it serve as the actual introduction into the series outside of like multiplayer at friends' houses, it also was the first game I completed, and I think it was a really good way to start the year. Some minor issues here and there. Playing on heroic difficulty also made me have to constantly run out of ammo. And again, there were some missions that were just kind of not that great. Also, of course, knowing the ending and how it goes, while it still had some real impact, it's just going to lead this into the B tier. Up next, we have Batman the Telltale series, and my biggest thing with this game is the fact that, yes, it does do a good job of showing you Batman and how he is comic book style, but you don't really have much options. It really just feels like picking a dialogue option with actual little consequence, and it was cool, but, like, I just didn't really feel like they actually allowed you to be Batman in your own way. It was just, here's what Batman's supposed to be, so C tier. Up next, we have Slay the Spire. I actually did a review on this game, so if you're interested in watching that, go ahead and take a look. But my biggest thing with this game is that I did not consider it complete until I finished the run with every single character. And the purple chick honestly was super annoying to deal with, so I had to take like twice as long to finish the run with her. The game is actually a lot funner than I expected it to be. I didn't really think I'd care for the card system or the runes or anything like that, but it all blended in really well. My biggest thing with this game is the RNG. Sometimes certain bosses you have to face at the end of the level were just really bullshit to deal with. And overall, with a game like this, that's a roguelike and the cards you get are at random and yada yada yada, it can really bog down the experience when I'm on a run. I can tell halfway through that I just have no chance of beating it. So it's gonna go in the B tier. The first game I didn't complete this year is this The Police, a very good game about a police chief trying to retire, but he needs to make sure that he has the money to do so. He has 180 days, if I remember correctly, before he retires, and he has to deal with a corrupt city, a bunch of mobsters coming out of him, and he basically has to make 100K, if I remember correctly, I forget the number, before he retires to actually, basically be able to live off of it. So that requires a lot of extortion, corruption, and a whole lot of other things that come along with it. And being the police chief, you also just have to, dispatch your cops where you need to be and yada, 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 along with dealing with politicians who are always going to give you some bullshit to deal with. It's a great game, and I highly recommend all of you play it. But unfortunately, I got to like day 73, 93 before I got arrested for corruption. And then, at that point, I had to literally restart the game. And I just wasn't in the mood to do that. But it's a game I'm going to come back to for sure. Up next, we have Batman: The Enemy Within. This is a much better game than the original. You have a lot more choices, a lot more consequences. You can really take on Batman and be the Batman that you want to be. Alongside that, you also just have a new iteration of what the Joker is, which still is done really well. And overall, the game just as a whole was a lot more of an actual experience of a game rather than just a story being told with you being able to make minor decisions. B tier. Up next, we have a small indie game in Just Sant. Basically, it's to climb this giant mountain to try to restore the water to a world that it basically has turned to Mad Max, where there's just a whole lot of desert and nothing else. It's very light on the story. You're just given a general premise. There's notes to find around the world explaining what happened to the characters that used to live in these areas, yada yada yada. There's some mystical elements I wasn't really a fan of, but that ending is actually so chef's kiss that I have to recommend this game. I don't want to spoil anything about it. Just go play it. It's actually just a really good climbing game, anyways. B tier. Up next, we have the second game that had dropped this year, and that is Frostpunk. Essentially, you're a mayor of a town in a world where everything has been frozen over, and you're thrown back into another ice age. The biggest thing is you have to make laws, make choices, and just keep the town from turning on itself and just throwing you out for being a bad leader. This game was just really not that in depth, given how people talk about it. I thought there'd just be a lot more. I thought the law system was actually really shallow, and while I thought it was a cool like town simulator, dealing with the harsh winter and all that, when you hit day 50 and you have to deal with that blizzard, if you're unprepared for it And even if you are prepared for it, it was just like, damn, you just get completely screwed over. Like your entire town freezes over. I ended up losing at that point. It took me like 6 hours to get to that point. I was just kind of like, whatever. I didn't really care. I didn't care to restart it. So it didn't get finished. So F tier. After that, we had a neat little indie game all about chess, but it's troll chess. A troll made up this version of chess, and he makes up all the rules, and you have to figure them out as you play. The biggest thing though is that troll will try to cheat, and you can catch him in those cheats if you point out what rule he broke in the rulebook, and then you'll be allowed to cheat back. There's multiple endings to this game, multiple ways to beat him, and while I thought it was kind of cute and neat, it really didn't hold my attention for that long. It was just kind of like whatever. So I'm gonna give this C tier. And to finish off January, the last game I played was Death and Taxes, a game all about you being death and you have to choose who dies. You're given a list of objectives to complete. You can choose whether or not to actually complete them, but the biggest thing, of course, is that death is essentially treated as an accountant. You are, in fact, fireable. I thought the game was just going to be here's a couple of options, pick and choose who dies, and then you see the consequences afterwards. No, this game goes completely left and makes itself really quirky, big chungus, blah, 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 blah. The writing was just super millennial coded and it did not land with me at all. It's not at all what I expected. And once I realized what I was really playing, I just ran through as quick as I could just to finish it. D tier. Starting off February, I played A Way Out. And honestly, this game was way clunkier, way buggier, and just not as good as I thought it would be. The way people talked about it, the fact that this was game of the year conversations is crazy. I mean, I thought the game was fine. It was cool to play with someone, had to play the game co op all the way. But it did not live up to my expectations at all. It didn't help that I already knew the ending, which I guess that's my fault. And I'm not going to try to hold that against it too hard. But the experience was nothing like I expected, and it was actually kind of shallow. So I'm going to give it the C tier. Up next, we have Rotato Abyssal Terrors. Now, I'm going to give an asterisk to this one because it is, in fact, a DLC, but this DLC took me over 50 hours to complete every single achievement. I did that because Rotato was one of the few games that actually had 100% it on Steam, so I had to get that back. And again, this is 50-hour long DLC. If that is not worthy of just being considered its own game, I don't know what is. Easy A tier for me. I loved being able to play more Rotato. Up next, we have Redfall. Yes, the Redfall, the one that got Arcane shut down, the people who made Dishonored. So this game, I got 20 hours into it, and then I got into a game-breaking bug where a literal key would no longer spawn into the world after I guess I died at the wrong time. So now I can no longer finish the story because I could not complete the story mission that I was on because the item that I needed would no longer spawn in. I literally could not finish the game because I was no longer able to progress after over 20 hours of playing this game. I was not going to restart it. I'm never going to re-download it. Fuck this game, F tier. So after that disaster, I decided to go back and play a classic that I have really come to love over the last year and a half in Max Payne 3. I actually played this game as a kid and I didn't really care about it. It was like, cool, whatever, blah, blah, move on, forgot about it. I saw it on Steam for sale, got it again, and I have fallen in love with this game so much, man. It's an easy S tier. I'm so glad I found this game once again and that I bought it when I did. Now moving over into March, I started off by playing The Last of Us Part 1 Remastered. I have no idea what the hell you guys see in this game. I beat it in 16 hours, and when I got to the end of it, I was like, oh, I thought there would be more. Um, yeah, I didn't really care for the story. I thought Joel switching up and being like, actually, Ellie, I do give a shit about you. Let's go across America. That happened way too quickly. The gunplay is really cool. I like that. I hated the fact that you had to upgrade like your steady aim and stuff like that. Like Joel, how the fuck can you not aim a gun steady after 20 years of the apocalypse? That's just stupid. Yeah, C tier. I don't know what you guys see in this game. Up next, we have Star of Providence, and this is actually one of the first few games I bought on Steam. And I played it for like 2 hours originally, and I just couldn't get into it. I felt the movement was overly floating. I couldn't really get a grip on the ship, and I thought the enemies in the rooms were just really overly annoying and small. I know it's the point of it, but I just couldn't get into it. I came back around, finally played it. I played, I think maybe it's like 3 or 4 more hours to actually complete a run, and I was like, okay, actually, it was pretty good. I liked all the music, the sprites, the quirkiness of it, upgrade system, yada yada yada. Now that I understood it more, had a better grip for it, cool. I give it a B tier. Admittedly, not the best place to start, but I finally got into the Metal Gear series through Ground Zeroes, a very short experience that I remember people being very mad at when it came out for being about $40, $30, I want to say, and being a 2 hour experience. I played all the missions on easy mode and then on hard mode. I did what I could to find the little collectibles and secrets there were in the world. It was cool. I mean, obviously, it's not a very long game. I put like maybe 8 hours into it. It was neat. It was definitely neat. I'll give it into the B tier. Lastly, in March, I played an indie boomer shooter centered around a Cthulhu monster trying to take over the world. You pick between two characters, a reporter and a priest, and you go about killing all the things that they place in front of you until you get to the different bosses. And done in a hand-drawn comic book art style, the graphics are really interesting to look at, though the game was actually a little bit more buggy and stuttery than I would have expected, especially in the final third. Overall, the experience was pretty cool. I didn't like the fact that the story was done like in a notes kind of way. We had to pick up these random notes, read them, and then you have a better understanding of the world. I don't like when games do that. but overall, still a good game. It ended just right when it should have, in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a B tier. Moving on over to April now, I completed 0 games. I fell into a bit of a slump. I was playing games for efficiency, and then eventually I ended up playing some games that just I lost fun in. They became kind of boring to me, or for one reason that I just kind of stalled on playing them. But I also know myself well enough where I knew that if I started installing new games or just uninstalled those, I would never come back to them. So I kept them installed. I didn't download anything else, and I basically just played Chivalry 2 and NBA 2K14 for like the rest of the month. I think I just needed a break, possibly. I had never done something like this before, so I think just the concentrated effort to actually get through backlog games and eventually, forcing myself to play games that perhaps I wasn't really all that into for some time, it wore on me. So unfortunately, I didn't complete any games in April. One of the games we're referring to that I didn't feel like playing was Star Wars Republic Heroes. I actually wanted to play this game so much as a kid. I remember going to Walmart and playing the demo on the 360 devices they had out to death. I loved the idea. So then when I finally got to work on Steam Deck, because there's like problems with it, you have to like force Xbox Live, blah 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 blah. It's complicated. Anyways, I got this to finally work, and it was cool. I was enjoying it at first, but yeah, I mean, playing a kids game now as a adult, I mean, nostalgia is cool and all that, but it really I really struggled to get through it. It didn't help that the game was honestly kind of buggy and wasn't really great at instructing you what to do, or just didn't always cooperate with you on what you actually had to do. So yeah, I love Star Wars. It felt like playing an arc from the TV series in the season 2, but yeah, it definitely wasn't a great experience. C tier. After that, I decided to do a replay of Shadow of Mordor, and honestly, I was kind of surprised by like just how simple the game was. It was nice to relive Talon's origin and everything like that, and it was cool to kind of go back to this experience that I only ever played once on Xbox One. The game doesn't hold up too well graphically. You can definitely tell it's made in the mid 2010s, but overall, the game was pretty good for what it was. Though the story does kind of go into random directions, and it kind of makes it feel like they're just dragging it on just for the sake of playtime. Though I got what I wanted out of it, the story does a pretty good job of wrapping itself up, not without taking too long. So I'll put it in the B tier. But yeah, only 2 games completed in May. Moving on to June, I started off with the Hong Kong Massacre. If you like games like Hotline Miami, you'll definitely get some kicks out of this. Centered around a police officer whose partner was killed by some local gangs, you go about getting your revenge and killing them all in subsequent order. This game centers around the idea of a one-shot, one-kill method. The game, while not mechanically deep and not particularly story heavy, it does a good job of not only mixing a good blend of both, but giving you a satisfying experience where I actually started achievement hunting towards the end. I put about 7 hours into the game, and overall, it was a lot better than I expected. B tier. Up next, I finally decided to finish Vampire. I had been on and off with this game for months. My biggest thing is the fact that this game loses the plot very quickly. While starting off as a vampire game, coming back home from the front lines in the war, you're a doctor trying to hide into the local population, blah, 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 blah. It then devolves into a love story and it becomes really stupid really quickly. All the best parts of the game, so for whatever reason, get thrown to the background, and then you have to do a bunch of lazy tasks doing that doesn't fit what you want to do in a vampire game. Well, mechanically kind of deep, and it has some good RPG elements to it. I don't know if it just wasn't the audience for it. Maybe I didn't have the patience. Overall, the game just hit a certain point in chapter 3 where it stopped being fun to me. And every time I picked up the game, it was just more of a chore than it was fun. So I'm going to put it in the C tier. Forgot to mention, I have actually did a review on this game. So if you want to know more of my thoughts on that, go look it up on my channel. After that, I decided to play Buckshot Roulette. There's a shotgun in front of you. Some of the shots are blanks. Some of them are actually live rounds. Pick and choose who you want to give each turn to. That's the general premise. There's also items that can affect gameplay. I thought it was fine. It just takes overly long. Like the fact that I had to constantly read the same text over and over and over again really bogs down the pace of it, which is really annoying. It was fine, but I kind of, I don't know, I got kind of old kind of quick, I guess. C tier. Up next, we have Rise of the Tomb Raider. I also had the Game of the Year edition, so I was able to play some of the DLC. And this game actually was surprisingly fun. The first few hours are kind of lame, being locked in that first region. My biggest complaint has to be the fact that you have to have like a bunch of like little tools to help you do some of the side objective, like capturing flags or posters and all that. It's actually kind of tedious just how much stuff you need to get this stuff because it's kind of stupid. Like I have to get a knife to cut this rope. I can't use a gun to shoot the rope. Okay, whatever. But that aside, the game was definitely an improvement from its predecessor, and I had a lot more fun. The game was just a bigger scale overall. It had a much bigger wow moments, and I definitely had my fun with this one. B tier. And to finish off the month, I played Otoxo, another game in that Hotline Miami, Hong Kong Massacre genre, top-down shooter, but it's all black and white. Here's the thing though, the enemies are way smarter, especially as you progress. They actually have the mind to think about self-preservation, they will take cover, they will wear armor, they will set up traps, they will actively try to bum rush you and among other things in an effort to take you down. You can't just take them down one by one and expect the other person to not react. The other neat thing as well is that you can disable or enable certain weapons to be available to both not only you, but the enemies. My only problem with this though is the fact that the way you unlock weapons is a very tedious method that you have no control over. Otherwise, I thought the game was really amazing. A tier. Moving on over to July now, I started off the month by my third replay of Dying Light. I honestly only keep coming back to this game because I keep thinking to myself, what am I not seeing that you guys are seeing? Why do gamers care about this game so much? I do not get it. This is my third replay on the hard difficulty, and I still don't see what you guys see. I even got to see the graphical improvement update that they did and all that. The game is definitely different for sure, like compared to other zombie games, but that's not enough. I don't get it. I just don't get it. C tier. I only played one more game in July, and that was a Dead Space remake. Now, in comparison to Dying Light, where I just don't get why people are into it, I actually 100% understand now why people love Dead Space. I had never played it up until this point, and I'm so glad I played through the remake. This game was super fun. I like the ending. I like all the lore and the creepiness of it. I completed all the side objectives. This game was a blast. Easy S tier. After that, I started the August with the replay Sniper Elite 5, and it was pretty good. Some of the maps were definitely not intended for sniping, like the castle map on the shore. That's not a sniping map. Like most of the combat in that map takes place between close to mid range. Um, yeah, but overall, I mean, the experience is good. Sniper Elite, I've always enjoyed the series, so B tier. After that, I decided to play Sever Steel. It basically plays a hardcore Henry the movie. This actually was my first review on the channel, I think, or if not one of the first reviews, and it was really good. One of the hands is used as a cannon that can blast holes through walls. The other one is for guns and shooting people. You have a lot of acrobatic moves that you can use to your advantage, and the whole point of the game is about fast movement, fast combat, and little else. Even the story is just played in slideshows as if it were a comic book, but it literally doesn't have words. B tier. After that, I decided to play a short indie game in Nodebuster, a short 4 to 5 hour experience. You're a computer virus, essentially just trying to upload yourself into a computer. There's a very big skill tree. The gameplay is very simple but fun. The only problem is that the last tidbit of the game just drags on a little bit, so that kind of drags on with the time. But overall, I thought it was a neat little game. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. And to finish off the month, I decided to play the Last Stand Legacy Collection. I finished the first two games, but then when I got to the Last Stand Union City, you do not have controller support for the game. You have to play on mouse and keyboard. I tried finding a community layout. It wasn't all that great. I didn't feel like plugging in my Bluetooth keyboard, so I just didn't play it. So while I did play this game, I just didn't technically finish it. But overall, put it in the B tier, but I'm going to put it in F tier since I didn't complete the series. Starting off September, I decided to do something different and play a rhythm game. I've never played them, and this one is called Double Kick Heroes. It's all about blasting zombies, match up the drums, guitar, and the bass cymbals to better shoot enemies, do more damage, get better gun upgrades, and overall, it's a really fun experience. I actually really like the metal music that they played. It's all original, apparently, and overall, the game is really fun. My only issue with the fact is that there's random difficulty spikes in each world. There's 1-1, 2-2, yada yada yada. Just random difficulty spikes, honestly, throughout the game that really bogged the experience down. But overall, I had a lot of fun. And the story itself is just really stupid. They try to make you give a shit about these characters, and I don't know why I would. They're all really annoying, and I didn't like any of that. And I say that as someone who actually read the dialogue, so just skip all that. The actual gameplay is fun though. B tier. Would you believe me if I told you I hadn't picked up Grand Theft Auto 5 in maybe since 2016? I was interested in going through the story again. I can't remember a single thing about it, so I decided, you know what, let's go play it again. Maybe I'll mess around the world a little bit too. And I basically played the entire campaign in first person mode, except for some random occasions where I just straight up couldn't because I couldn't see a damn thing, like in helicopter missions. But overall, I thought the game was fun. The story is definitely nonsensical, but it was definitely interesting. It had nice little twists and turns. The ending makes even less sense though, honestly, with the option to kill people. I don't know why you would do any of that. But overall, the game was fun. B tier. I actually played a lot of card games this year, one of them being Fights in Tight Spaces, all about using your fighting skills as a secret agent to take down these gangs as you go after a much larger foe. The game is actually really fun. I like the turn-based combat, I like the deck building mechanic, I like the RNG part of it. The only problem is the RNG itself though. The game will sometimes spawn you into quite literally unwinnable fights, no matter how your deck shuffles, no matter what stats you have, how much health you have, what yada yada yada. You just straight up cannot win it because you're pinned in a corner, and I mean you are pinned in a literal corner you cannot get out of. That aside, though, the game was great. I'm gonna give it an A tier. After that, I decided to play one of the most infamous indie games out there in Ultra Kill, and flat out, I was not the biggest fan of it. I thought the lore was cool. I thought all the characters were cool. I thought everything about the game was cool, except for the fact that in every level there is one room that you enter where they just spawn a bajillion enemies, and that fucks up my score because I spent 20 to 30 minutes just in that one room, and I hated it every single time it happened. I did a review on this game, so if you want to know my thoughts on it better, go look at that. But I'll play the next installments, but this is a C tier game for me. And to finish off the month, I decided to go back and play Luck Be a Landlord, a game that actually inspired Balatro's creation, if you didn't know. And it's a slot machine game, and it's really not that good. It's really not that deep. And while I can definitely see why Balatro was inspired by this game, um, This game isn't very good in my opinion. It's very short. There's not a whole lot to do. It's a one level, and it's a C tier game. Starting off October, I decided to play something spooky in Little Nightmares. I actually can't remember the last time I played a 2D platformer, so this was definitely a nice change of pace. But this game falls into that same category of Limbo and Inside, shorter games that, while neat in premise, are not very story heavy, and I don't care to look into the lore. So while it was neat within of itself to just play, I didn't really just care for it. I didn't really leave. It didn't leave an impression on me. So C tier. After that, I decided to play the very popular indie roguelike in Hades. And man, this game was actually way better than I thought it was going to be. When it comes to indie games like this that are super overhyped and people talk about it to death, saying it's perfect, 10 out of 10, blah, 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 I always get very anxious about playing them because I'm like, how good could it possibly be? No, this game actually was really, really good. I think the story drags on a little bit, though, in my opinion. Like, it definitely could have been done a little bit quicker, just like with how many runs you actually have to complete before you get to like that actual ending, so to speak. I didn't like the fact that the end game content, where you can basically expand the story to do the secret part, um, that drags way too long. You have to do way too much stuff to actually get that to work. So while I played 50 hours of this game, it was really good. It was really fun. Highly recommend it. S tier. I didn't like the fact that the extra content that you can unlock and do took super long to actually try and do. And to finish out the month, I tried playing Nights in Tight Spaces, but I did not finish it. So this game is the follow-up to Fight in Tight Spaces, and it's cool. I like the medieval setting. I thought it was interesting. The storytelling's a lot more dynamic, yada yada yada. Here's the thing though, the game funnels you into having to use mages. You can't use brawlers and archers all the way because of the magical elements that the game has. So that really bogged down the experience. And once I realized that, I was like, all right, I'm kind of over it. I don't normally play games back to back in the same genre or in the same franchise, and this is actually one of the exact reasons why, because I think by the time I even figured that out, the game was kind of like wearing out its welcome, and so I decided to just drop it. Speaking of dropping games, I actually started off November by finally dropping Lakia Age Through Blood. I've been playing this game for months on and off, and while it's definitely nice and interesting, it has a terrible way of trying to point you in the right direction. Like, it just straight doesn't tell you proper things, it just tells you areas and you have to figure it out, which is really, really annoying. That being said, the game's music, art style, and the overall story and plot was fun. 2D side scroller kind of game where you're riding a motorcycle, you have a shotgun to defeat enemies. I did figure out where to finally go, but once I actually figured that out, I was just kind of over it, so I decided to drop it. So it goes into the F tier. After that, I decided to play a small indie game in Rack and Slay, a roguelike built around pool. Very simple premise. My only issue with the game is the fact that it's very, very shallow. There's only like 8 upgrades you can do. Some enemies have a really annoying habit with how you kill them, so you instantly take damage and so on. The game is overall short, and it took me about 2 hours to finish it. I thought it was neat. It just needed more upgrades, needed more roguelike elements. It just needed more overall. Again, it was a neat game, but just very shallow. So I'm going to put it in the C tier. Now let's talk about one of the greatest tower defense series ever created in the Kingdom Rush. In this one, Kingdom Rush Frontiers, an amazing follow-up to the first game. Playing this one all over again brings back so much nostalgia from the early 2010s when I found these on mobile. And honestly, this game was just a blast to play again. It's definitely one of the harder ones, like when they introduce the pirates and all that, it gets really hard. But overall, the game is really just fun, and I like revisiting these types of games every now and then. Put this easy A tier. After that, I decided to play Intravenous, a review of a game that actually blew up on my channel. The first video that actually hit 1,000K, and I'm very much happy and proud about that. Go look at that review. I think I did a really good job with it. Basically, it's a very realistic top-down stealth shooter, all about taking down enemies, and the story is pretty simple. My only biggest issue with this game is the fact that the second half you can cripple yourself like I did on accident. You can make a story choice that essentially disables like half of your abilities and armors and stuff like that. It's a little complicated to explain without getting into. Easy way to put it is that this game is very realistic in the sense that you can only take a shot or two before you die. Sending with the enemies, you have to really rely on stealth, silence, and just overall moving in a way where you don't fight too many enemies at once. It's a really good game, but for me, the second half really got bogged down by that negative experience. So I'm going to put it in the C tier, but it has a strong case for actually deserving to be in the B tier. Up next is an indie game very famous for having started off as a mod for Skyrim. And it's a cool mystery game for sure. I think I just wasn't really the audience for it. I did a review on this, so if you want to see my thoughts on it, go look at that review. But yeah, it really just didn't land with me. I honestly almost put it in the D tier, but the fourth ending was just good enough for me to warrant putting it in the C tier. Next up now, though, this game does go into D tier, I'll tell you that right now. Not only is it super buggy, it does not live up to the Max Payne name, which it quote unquote was inspired by. The gameplay does not back up the excellent story. It has a very, very good story, and I really hate that it has such a good story because the gameplay is not only buggy, stuttery, and honestly, the game is way too expensive for what it is. It's just super underwhelming. It's very disappointing that this game came out the way that it did. it's going to go to the D tier. After that, I decided to do a replay of the Xbox One launch title in Rise Son of Rome, and this is actually one of the first games that tried pushing the whole like, oh, shorter is better when it comes to like gameplay and like time wise. Um, and gamers hated that, and I still kind of live in that category of not really being a fan of shorter experiences. Some of them are okay, but I still very much push against it. And this game was super, super mid. It was very, very mid. That's the best way I could put it. C tier. Going in the opposite direction now, I started playing Warhammer 40k Space Marine. And man, this game was so good. I started looking up the lore of it on YouTube. I thought about buying the figures, doing the whole army stuff, yada, yada, yada. That stuff was way too expensive for me, though. I already have other nerdy hobbies I can do. But this game was so, so good. And the only reason it's not an S tier game is because it's 6 hours long. Again, I'm not a big fan of short hour experiences, and that would have definitely pissed me off if I had bought this 40 $60, whatever it was at launch, and if the game was only 6 hours long. That would have pissed me off so bad. So it was an easy A tier. I just wish it was longer. After reviewing El Paso Elsewhere, I actually went back to play the original Max Payne to see how much different it was in regards to the feel and the gameplay and all that. And man, this was so much better that it only made my point worse. That El Paso Elsewhere was just not that good and just was super underwhelming. Max Payne has such good writing, and it has, well, it's not great on Steam Deck. It's a little like, like you have to kind of make some workarounds for it using a community layout. The game is just so good. It's so good, and the fact that this is my first time playing the original Max Payne is crazy. But it was very, very good game. I'm super glad I finally got to it. The only thing really holding it back is some of that old school jank that makes the game a little more difficult than it really is, and just the control scheme not being that great. Otherwise, it's an easy A tier. So after that, I decided to play Serial Cleaners, a game where you go and clean up crime scenes. Sounds really interesting, sounds kind of neat, sounds different, it looks different too, and then the game turned out to be very boring and pedantic. Um, it just was not good. It was not good. It was rather tedious. A lot of the levels were just annoying to deal with. The cops were also annoying, and the game was a D tier. And lastly, now to finish off November, I played a game about digging a hole. And wow, this actually was so much better than I expected it to be. I only saw this like go viral for like a weekend, like I don't want to say like a month or two before I ended up buying it. So then I finally decided to play it around Thanksgiving, and I just grinded my way through this game. I had no idea that digging a hole, a virtual hole, mind you, could be so fun. It took me about 4 hours to beat the game, and it's actually stupid, but this is an S tier game. Go play it. Finally, in December now, the first game I beat was The Dungeon Beneath, a very simple game where you dungeon crawl deeper and deeper in an attempt to kill this ancient god creature. Gather your party, change them out, buy them upgrades, and you just have them battle. It's a very simple game, very simple process. I have no idea why this took me so long to beat. According to howlongtobeat.com, it takes about 6 hours on average to beat this game. It took me over 17. I have no idea what I was doing wrong. So when I finally beat it, I was maybe like two more runs away from finally giving up on it. But then I finally beat it, and I was like, thank goodness, and then I deleted it immediately. It was cool. It was just super frustrating, but it was fun. It was fun for what it was. B tier. After that, I decided to play Midnight Fight Express, a John Wick style game that I also did a review on. That was super good. The combat was really good. It's a brawler type of game. You get to pick up weapons, use your hand to hand combat, use guns, tasers, wrenches, whatever the case may be. It's a really good game overall. The biggest issue is the fact that the story is complete nonsense bullshit and it bogs down the experience so, so bad. Also, the game is broken up into like 45 levels, which I mean, it's cool, but like also like there's way too many, and when it comes to achievement hunting, it's really annoying. Also, it suffers from the same problem that Max Payne 3 does, where you can't really skip the cutscenes, so it just bogs down the experience when trying to replay levels. Overall, the game was great. It's just again, the story was just super stupid, and it bogs down the experience. A tier. After that, I decided to play something different in Maneater, a shark RPG that falls in the similar sense of a River Monsters sort of show with more TV reality flair. You're a shark, and all you're trying to do is eat stuff and go after a specific guy, but I won't explain why. This game actually reminds me a lot of like that Flash game where you're a giant worm underneath the ground and you have to constantly pop back up to eat stuff to get bigger and get upgrades. So imagine that, but almost worse somehow. Like the fact that it's 3D and there's a billion collectibles all over the place, it doesn't make the game better, and it actually makes the game more shallow somehow. I think the game just bit off more than it can chew, maybe, or maybe my expectations are too high. I'm not sure, but the game just was just mid, so I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I also did a review on this game, so if you want to know more about why I felt the way that I did, check that out. After that, I decided to play Sniper Ghost Warrior Contract, the successor to the Sniper Ghost Warrior series, which apparently wasn't very good from what I hear. This game actually looked really, really good on Steam Deck, and it also played really well. The enemy's really stupid though, so but you also couldn't take any damage really, so that kind of evened out a little bit. The exploration was cool, the extra challenges were cool, the maps were very big. It was just kind of like more of Sniper Elite. Though that being said, the game just constantly crashed my Steam Deck, so that's definitely points against it. The story is like geopolitical nonsense, so go take out these targets, yada yada yada. It wasn't anything too crazy. Really, it's gonna come down to, are you okay with stupid AI that doesn't really do the best at fighting back, but also you don't take a lot of damage before dying, so again, kind of evens out. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. I thought it was fine. After that, I played one button bosses, where you guessed it, you only need to press one button to fight these bosses. The game's pretty good actually from a gameplay standpoint. The story is a communistic slash gay fanfic, the best way I can put it. Just skip all the dialogue. I have no idea why it does that, but whatever, I guess. The actual gameplay though is fun. It's a decent challenge. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. After that, I finally got around to playing Doom Eternal, a much better game than the original Doom 2016, and this one was really, really good. There's no way around that. I really liked the fast-paced combat. I liked all the extra gadgets they give you. The secrets were a little bit easier to find, but they were also more numerous some. And overall, the game was really good. The DLC was fucking atrocious though, so do please, 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 please do not play that. But otherwise, this game is an easy S tier. And to finish off 2025, the final game I played was Agent Intercept. You and your DEI buddies go on to take on the world ending threat, which is basically just a whole lot of superhero and Saturday cartoon nonsense. It's a decent game. I thought it was perfectly fine. The story is whatever. Um, it's it's cool. It's cool. There's nothing more to say to that. I thought it was an okay game. Beats here. Okay, with all that out of the way now, here's the final tier list. And man, I got through a lot of games this year. Now, I want to recognize a couple of these standout games I played this year for better or for worse, give you guys some small insight as to what really stood out to me. So let's begin. The first award is going to be for the most disappointing game I played this year. The winner of this award is for the game I had the highest expectations for, but either completely missed the mark or was nothing like I expected. So the nominees are The Last of Us Part 1, Death and Taxes, Serial Cleaner, Vampire, and El Paso Elsewhere. And the winner is Death and Taxes. Honestly, I was thinking of saying El Paso, but the story was so good, I'll give it a pass in that regard. But yeah, Death and Taxes was nothing like I expected. And everything from the writing and the story, the choices you get to make, and the side content you can interact with were nothing like I wanted, let alone anticipated. So this was an easy choice. A bad game, a bad time, and I'm just glad it was over quick. Up next is the game I'm most likely to replay in the year 2026. Simple thought process here. What game did I enjoy so much that I'll swim back around for a second go around? The nominees are Dead Space Remake, Warhammer 40k Space Marine, Jasant, Hong Kong Massacre, and Fights in Tight Spaces. And the winner is Fights in Tight Spaces. There was another DLC that was released for it late last year, just after I had made my review, and it looked very enticing to me. So when given the chance to snag that up, I plan to reinstall the game quickly, as I had my issues with the game like I mentioned, but it was still an overall blast to play. The rest of the nominees could easily be replayed as well, but it would be more of a new game plus kind of way rather than just playing the DLC. So now we have the most mid game of the year, so just a quick description of what I mean so there's no confusion. The award goes to the game that was the most 5 out of 10 for me. A game that was good enough to finish, but also a game I would never pick up again because there's just nothing to entice me. The nominees are Rise Son of Rome, Maneater, Rack and Slay, King of the Bridge, and the Batman Telltale series game. And the winner is Maneater. Yeah, I mentioned in my review of the game how I thought it was peak mid. The most memorable part of this game is that you play as a shark, but I never realized how dull and uninspired that kind of gameplay could actually be. The story, while neat, just isn't nearly enough to carry the experience, and honestly, I kind of wish I hadn't played the game. Like, it's just super like whatever. And lastly, on the bad side of awards, we had the most frustrating game of the year. This is the game that doesn't necessarily have to be good or bad. It just was frustrating to get to the end credits for whatever reason. The nominees are Ultra Kill, Toxo, Slay the Spire, The Dungeon Beneath, and Star Wars Republic Heroes. And the award goes to The Dungeon Beneath. I think this may be the first ever auto battler I've ever finished, let alone played, and while it was a nice change of pace with interesting characters and some nice sprite work, I was clearly doing something wrong, and I don't know what took me almost 3 times the normal amount of time to beat this game. It got to the point where I almost gave up on it because I felt like I was either missing something entirely or just being straight up pranked. Thankfully, I made it to the end though, but like I said, having to put 17 hours into a game that's supposed to take 6 was super frustrating. A few more awards to go over before we get out of here. This one goes to the most surprising game I played this year. I either had low expectations or no expectations about this game, but came out the other side pleasantly surprised. The nominees are Nodebuster, Agent Intercept, a game about digging a hole, one button bosses, and double kick heroes. And the winner is a game about digging a hole. This neat little indie game, which only takes a few hours to beat, was the game I was playing tirelessly during Thanksgiving, and it's because of how addictive and fun and simple the game can be. I've never been interested in whatever genre this game is, but it hit the spot so damn well when it did. And now we have Best New Franchise to play this year. The award goes to the game that belongs to a franchise of games with at least 2, that I'd never played before. It not only was my introduction to the franchise as a whole, but also wanted me to dive deeper into it and also look at more ways I could be interacting with the series. And the nominees are Warhammer 40k Space Marine, Dead Space, Little Nightmares, Halo, and The Last of Us. And the winner is, well, actually, this one isn't really surprised. It's Warhammer 40k Space Marine. I mentioned in my review of the game and how I was so enthralled with the game that I started looking up YouTube videos about it to learn more about it. And I mean, you guys get the picture. This game was just crazy good, and I really got interested in Warhammer for a good second there. Again, my biggest issue was the fact that it was just super short. Second to last, now we have my favorite backlog game of the year. This award goes to a game that's at least 5 years old, so needless to say, I'm late to the party on these ones. And the nominees are Max Payne, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Halo Reach, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts, and the Hong Kong Massacre. And the winner is Max Payne. I actually only played this because I was making a comparison to another game, like I mentioned. I was inspired by it, and while the controls felt a bit clunky on the Steam Deck, it was far better than I expected. And to finally play this game that's held in such high regards in video game history, it's nice to see that it holds up well and see the origin of Max Payne, and the story was so good. The writing was 10 out of 10. Last up now, of course, we have my personal game of the year, and we don't need to waste any time, so let's go over the nominees. There are four this year in Doom Eternal, Hades, Dead Space Remake, and Max Payne 3. Now, I really had to think about this one as I felt I had some recency bias here, but I think in the end, I think the way that this game consumed all of my gaming time for a good minute, and how I went out of my way to complete every side objective, and how it's a part of a smaller genre that I've continued to get really, really into as time goes on. I've even bought some of the stuff related to it, and it's something that I think everyone should play hands down. My personal game of the year is going to be the Dead Space remake easily. The way people have talked about this game since it's come out, I was cautiously optimistic about playing it finally, and very early on, I saw exactly what others did. I just had a blast from start to end. It's rare that I play a game with so few flaws, such as good lore, engaging combat, and it never gets old. It isn't overly complicated. The Dead Space remake is my game of the year, flat out. But that's going to do it all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a long one. If you liked today's video, make sure to tune in next year. Thank you all for watching. I'm Top Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Peace.